Welcome. I'm here to answer your question. Me llamo Valerie Macielo. I'm a Spanish teacher. And this is on the topic of preterite and imperfect, which is fairly difficult. So we're going to take a look at this story about Guillermo's memorable trip. We're going to take a look at the correct forms of these verbs and whether or not we need the preterite or imperfect. And instead of just giving the answers, we're going to give some kind of explanation behind them. So if we start off here, we have cuando yo más joven. Here we're going to need the imperfect. We're going to need era. Anytime you have cuando, yo, más joven, niño, niña, any of that kind of situation, you're going to need the imperfect. So, and as we continue on, cuando era más joven, here we're going to need the preterite. Hice una vez un viaje a Belice, one time. Anytime you have a single action, it's going to be the preterite, or a specific action. The next one we're going to have is ir con toda mi familia. So it's going to be fui here because you went with your family. You went one time, very specific preterite fui. Mi hermanito tenía 3 años y yo tenía 14 años. We're going to use the imperfect here. Anytime you talk about describing age, you're going to need the imperfect. So we continue on. Después de pensarlo mucho, mis padres decidieron hacer el viaje a Belice. Decidieron. Decidir almost always requires the preterite tense. It's a decision. You decided. Done. Porque quedaba muy cerca de donde nosotros vivíamos en Guatemala en esos años. Don't know how many years. It's very generalized. Any kind of general time frame, we're going to be using the imperfect here. Recuerdo todo de ese viaje. El lugar era tan limpio y bonito. Here we use era because we're describing the scene, we're describing the background information. So that's going to be the imperfect. And as we continue in las playas había, also we're setting the scene, setting the background. Había muchos pájaros y otros animales bonitos. You're rarely going to use haber in the preterite. You're going to be using that for sudden kinds of actions like accidents. Hubo un accidente. De repente, hubo un accidente. Suddenly there was an accident. Boom, accident. Continue on. Yo sí pude nadar. I was able to swim. I could do it. So we're going to be using the preterite there. Pero mi hermanito todavía no sabía nadar. He still didn't know how to swim, but it's very general. Maybe he did learn how to swim later. We don't really know. And also, saber changes meaning in the preterite. Saber in the preterite means to find out information. So instead, you would use it in situations like, oh, ayer yo supe las noticias. Yesterday, I found out the news. But here, just in general, he didn't know how to do something. If we continue on, un día yo iba a nadar sin él. We're going to use the imperfect. I was going to swim without him. So we have the imperfect. Y él empezó a llorar. So we have an ongoing action with an interruption. So we're going to use the preterite there. I was going to swim, boom, he started to cry. Pobre Juan, en realidad, pobre de mí, porque ese día, mientras yo nadaba en el mar. Whenever you see mientras, you know it's going to be the imperfect. That is a huge keyword. Mientras, while I was swimming in the sea. So while this is happening, now we're going to have an interrupting action. We can predict that. Un pez grande me mordió. So I'm swimming, and then boom, this preterite action occurs. The fish bit me. En un instante yo sentí un dolor tremendo. We have in an instant, boom, we have this sudden feeling. Sentí un dolor tremendo y grité. I shouted, mamá, ayúdame. Mi mamá se metió en el agua. She jumped in the water. She went in the water. And here we have a reflexive verb. So we need to take that se off the end, put it in the front, and then conjugate the verb here in the preterite tense. These are actions happening. We're going to use the preterite. Y me salvó la vida. She saved my life. Not was saving my life, but boom, she saved my life. Después de salir del agua, yo tuve que ir al hospital. I had to go to the hospital. Al final, no era nada serio. Wasn't anything serious. Again, we have a description, so we're going to use that. Pero de todas formas, toda la situación me asustaba mucho. We have an emotion. Anytime you have an emotion, you're going to use the imperfect tense. So I hope this was very helpful, and good luck. Ciao.